Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington.
I'm Samba Bachili.
Nina Vaca, Chief Executive Officer of Pinnacle Group.
An original shark from the hit TV show Shark Tank.
CEO of ADS Group.
The largest Latina-owned workforce solutions in America.
I first identified myself as an entrepreneur when I was 15 years old.
My mother and father immigrated here with a suitcase and a dream. I had a front row seat to entrepreneurship. I am living proof of what is possible in this country.
Today, the marketplace is very tough.
The challenge for African market today is its access to capital.
The number one reason why we can't scale as entrepreneurs is access to capital.
What makes Glow so different and so powerful is the access to experts, gurus, mentors, coaches, financiers, venture people, money.
When I started my business, I immediately went to engage with different communities, different platforms. Glow makes that experience digital. A digital platform makes it so much faster and so much easier for you to meet like-minded people.
The financial platform that Glow have that make Glow unique.
Glow is about commerce, Glow is about community, and Glow is about having access to capital.
Glow is an asset to every entrepreneur in this country and globally.
It's about helping you take your business, your idea to the next step.
Hi there, and welcome to the Global Leaders Organization Business Acceleration 2.0. This is the show where leaders go to grow, and we're thrilled that you could be here with us today. As I said, the show is sponsored by the Global Leaders Organization. GLOW is a membership organization that was made for the CEO, the entrepreneur, the business owner. We're here to help you grow your business, and we help you by doing that in 4 different ways. 1, we help you with community. Because let's face it, as an entrepreneur, business owner, it's lonely at the top, right? So you need that community of other entrepreneurs that are out there doing it and learning from them and networking with them. The other thing that we do is bring you a commerce platform. So if you're looking to grow your business by doing more business with other entrepreneurs, we have a commerce platform, a marketplace where you can promote and advertise your company's businesses as many times as you would like on the marketplace. And then we also have one more thing that makes us really unique. We have an investment portal, a capital component on the Glow platform. So as an entrepreneur, you never know when you're going to need that capital. We're here to assist you in finding the right capital with Glow's capital component. And then finally, the 4th pillar that helps hold up the Glow Foundation is our content. Glow brings you exceptional content every Thursday, every week. On our platform here, we're bringing you some of the best thought leaders in the world, top business leaders, top business books, top authors, top experts in specific industries. We're bringing them right here to you on every Thursday, and that's on our platform. There's also at the local level, we have chapters, and at the chapter level, we're also bringing you great content with live speakers. So look at Glow, go to withglow.com and become a member. So that 4th C that I was talking about, content, that's why you're here today. Today, we're here to introduce you to an individual. If you don't know him, you need to. His name is Craig Hall. Craig's an entrepreneur. He's a civic leader. He's a philanthropist. He's made a fortune with real estate. He's had ups and downs, and he's here to talk to us today about entrepreneurship. In fact, he wrote a book. He's a New York Times bestselling author, in fact, and he wrote a book that's called Boom. And we're going to talk about this today because as an entrepreneur, it's really fascinating and interesting to hear some of the stuff that's going on with the entrepreneurship. And if you're in a position to help to mentor and help other entrepreneurs, there's a call for you. We need your help. And if you're an entrepreneur that's in need of help, we're going to share some different ways that we can help you in different areas that you can go and look at through this book, Boom. So without further ado, Mr. Craig Hall. Craig, it's nice to have you here. Thanks for being on the platform with us.
Hi, Michelle. Great to be with you.
Yes. Now, I know who you are. We live in Dallas, Texas, both you and I. You happen to be in California right now, in Napa, at your beautiful place there. To help some of the individuals know a little bit more about you, can you tell them how you got your start as an entrepreneur?
Well, actually, my start as an entrepreneur was a bit of an accident. I was more of a political statement than it was a intent to create a life's career. I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which in the 1950s and 60s, and at the time in the 1960s, it was a pretty political time in the among other things at that time, renters of apartments at the University of Michigan, which is located in Ann Arbor, were constantly complaining about problems with landlords. And so somehow one thing led to another, and I decided to buy a rooming house with the idea of proving you could be a good guy landlord, and that you could make a reasonable profit while being an exemplary, well thought of, wonderful landlord. And by the way, it didn't work at all. It was a disaster, but fun.
I imagine you learned quite a bit too, right?
I learned a lot, and the funny thing is, everything that I planned on and thought about went wrong. And you would logically say, well, that was an experiment that failed, and accordingly, you move on and do something different in your life. And I actually, my goal had been to be a social worker. There was a television show on social workers that I used to watch just every second of. And but when I bought this first rooming house, even though it was just a huge number of unexpected problems, I loved it. I loved being an entrepreneur. And once I got the taste of it, I just never went back.
Yeah, it's hard. Once you get that fix, there's nothing else like it, right? Being your own boss. You work harder probably than you would for someone else, but there's nothing like it. What made you decide to write this book, Boom?
Well, I've been concerned let's take this as a pre-pandemic, and then we'll talk about pandemic and the future. But over the 3 decades just prior to the pandemic, there's a lot of evidence that entrepreneurship for what I'll call Main Street entrepreneurs, everyday businesses and things that lots of people used to look at as kind of bread and butter businesses, we're getting more and more of the short end of the stick. Our whole society continues to have business consolidation in many, many industries. And all of that really concerned me. The pandemic changed a lot of things, and numbers actually of entrepreneurship went up during the pandemic. As to the future, I think a lot of the ingrained problems we had are still there. It's a very unfair, uneven way to access capital, particularly tough for women and people of color. And I think if we could level the playing field and encourage business ownership for people who want to start businesses, that would really help strengthen our society and help build our middle class and really build our country. So I'm a big proponent in providing an opportunity to more people. And I think we're going in the wrong direction in that regard.
So if we're going in the wrong direction, what are some of the areas? Why is that happening? I know you've touched on millennials. I know that there's reasons why with women and minorities. Can we touch on that a little bit, discuss those?
Sure. I think we've become over time far more regulated. Whenever there's a problem, we throw in new ways to solve the problem. And that invariably is harder for less capitalized, younger companies than it is for a more established company to hire the resources necessary. So that would be one area. Capital access is, as mentioned before, a critical area, and certainly to a great extent and to a wonderful extent, we've become a nation of great innovation and great inciting what I'll call home run ideas. And for home run ideas, there's a lot of money. For singles and doubles that might actually become a home run, but they start out as a single or double, meaning they don't start out as a high-tech or biotech idea that is intended to scale, but they start out as something that is solving a problem or providing a service those kind of things are just getting the short end of the stick in the capital markets. So those are all issues. In many cases, I believe, not everyone would share this belief, but that the free market system doesn't necessarily provide all the answers. And I think government programs and government involvement is critical. The question is, it's not a matter of government giving things to people, it's a matter of government helping make things available for people taking advantage of and growing and doing their own business thing.
And why do you think that millennials are not going out starting businesses?
Well, I think there's a risk aversion. There's just a different ways that we all grow up. When I grew up, I never thought twice about the fact that it was my right as an American to start a business, and I guess I never was overly worried about the risk because I didn't have anything to lose. So why not? In a funny kind of way, a lot of my kids, millennial children and their friends, seem to be more concerned about security in their own kind of way, and they just that's understandable. But I think the pandemic changed a lot of the way people are thinking, and we'll be sorting that out for many years to come. But hopefully that'll open up. They did start a lot of new businesses.
I know in the stats that I've researched, and you cover it in your book as well, you talk about geography being part of the reason why some things get funded and some don't. So if you're located in New York or LA or San Francisco, Boston, those areas, the geographical areas, you seem to get your percentage of getting funded is much higher than if you're living in, I don't know, Detroit.
Absolutely.
Or Dallas.
Yes. I mean, there are other areas like Dallas and certainly Colorado and other areas that are trying hard and are coming on better. But that's the statistics show, well over 80% really come from those, handful of areas you mentioned, New York, Boston, and then really Silicon Valley and LA. Hopefully that's going to change. I think that's a really important thing. But part of the reason they come from those two areas is they go into high tech or biotech. And those are fields that are looking for those scalable home runs, which is great for our country. I'm not at all saying we should negate those. I'm just saying the traditional entrepreneurship for everything else is very, very important. And we need to step back and examine what can we do to help people start businesses and then stay in business. It's very challenging to survive in early times in business. Business is all about liquidity and cash flow, and you have to be able to make your payroll in order to keep going. That sounds easy, but it can be difficult.
I know. You also talk about, in regards to companies getting funded and having a better chance of getting their company funded, that women are in a much smaller percentage and minorities even worse, right? I think women are less than 3% and minorities barely even making up onto the scale, correct?
That's right. It's getting a little bit better, but not much. And I think the good news is there's a lot of attention to issues of equality, and there's talk about it at least. But certainly we have a lot more to do to fix the inequality for women and for people of color.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And is there anything in your mind that people could be doing to help make that easier and more available to women and minorities?
Well, there's an organization that I don't feel I do enough to help, but I'm on the board, called the Center for American Entrepreneurship. And they're, if you will, a think tank slash an organization that provides a lot of information that helps legislation happen in Washington, D.C. And that's one way to look at what they're doing, look at their website, get involved, help them. They literally work with senators and Congress people to get entrepreneurship front and center. So, for instance, they've been instrumental now. Both the House of Representatives and the United States Senate have what they call caucuses, which are groups of Republicans and Democrats who jointly meet to talk about entrepreneurship and how we can help through legislation to improve the playing field for entrepreneurs. And nothing really. You can do a lot of things at a local level and should, but Washington's the powerhouse, and so that's a very important direction. But talking about it at a local level and getting involved in community by community, doing things to help entrepreneurs is really, it's amazing how much every one of us can make a difference.
Okay, so when you wrote your book, it was pre-pandemic, right? It was before the pandemic. And in the book, you stated, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that entrepreneurship was literally half the number of entrepreneurs pre-pandemic than there were in 1975. Is that correct?
Startup of new businesses had declined by 50%. Yes.
It's incredible. It's astounding because you think it's actually booming and growing because of Shark Tank and all the different shows that you see on television. Technology, it's easier than ever to go and start a business due to technology.
You're absolutely right. Technology is a great thing. It's a great thing for both startups and for scaling or for growing faster. I think it's we haven't valued new startups as much as we should as a country. We've taken them for granted. We've made it more difficult for capital. We've made it more difficult regulatory wise. And at the same time, we value, which we should, innovation and scalable big businesses. And we've had such great innovative changes. But as much as that's wonderful, and it is, and I have really come to believe there's a lot of benefit to scale in certain respects. There's also something we lose in the, I'm going to use a sort of strange term, but I'm going to say the soul of our country if we just go for the most efficient platforms and lose that corner bakery or that local restaurant or cleaners. I mean, there may be faster, cheaper ways of doing everything, but not everything benefits from losing a local touch.
Well, why should we care? I mean, why should we care about entrepreneurship, Craig?
Well, I think we build a much more democratic, solid, stable society if people have a piece of the action. And if we just have the big getting bigger and everybody else getting shut out to where they don't have an opportunity to enter and grow, I think it's going to diminish our whole society. And over time, I was very, very lucky. I've been up, I've been down, and I've come back. And the financial part of it is nice, but it's secondary to all the fun it is to make a difference and all the fun it is to be involved in a positive way in people's lives. And as an entrepreneur, you can do a lot of great things. I just want to make sure we don't lose that opportunity at the expense of maybe making things a little cheaper, or a little faster, better. People need to have a stake in our joint future as a society.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with you. I feel like it is the fabric of our country, the entrepreneur. When I was growing up, I grew up in a little small town, and everybody seemed to have their own business. And that was the local economy, were all these different small businesses. And I've gone back now, and the little general store is no longer because Walmart's there. And a lot of the big corporations have moved in with the fast chains, and a lot of the local restaurants have gone. So It's sad to see that.
It is, and there are some new versions. Of course, things change, and there may be new versions of what the modern store looks like, so to speak. Maybe it's a online part of a platform, but again, the numbers speak for themselves. We just haven't had as many as we used to, and that is an unfortunate loss.
So you had said, now post-pandemic, things have gotten a little bit better. You're seeing an uptick with people starting businesses?
There was a huge uptick during the pandemic, and I think it's going to take us a number of years, not just in entrepreneurship, but in general, to understand how the pandemic has affected our way of thinking, our future. I mean, just look at right now, we have, as we're sitting here doing this discussion, we have very, very high inflation. We have interest rates going up. The world is just a little bit unpredictable. At the same time as we have a very low unemployed number, I think 3.6%. Consumer sentiment's the lowest it's ever been in history. So the pandemic is still with us in terms of a variety of ways, and it's going to take a long time to really understand all of what that means.
And how that's affected us. So you are also an investor, Craig, and many of our members that are watching today are out there raising capital. Can you share with us what you look for in companies when you make investments and what type of companies you make investments in?
Yeah, I have ups and downs, I suppose, in my investment times. Right now, I'm far more focused on concentration of some of my own businesses than out actively looking. We look at people first, with the ideas kind of second, and we try to invest in people who have a hardworking, enthusiastic personality with a lot of integrity and just a fire in the belly. And if you can help somebody realize their dream, that's a really great, fun thing to do.
It is fun. When you invest in a company, do you like to be on their board, or are you kind of a silent investor? Are you proactive and involved with the companies?
Well, I have very little time to do any number of things that I would like to do or that I've done in the past. So I'm not on people's boards. We try to help kind of in a more quiet way, and we have and sometimes people in our company have been on boards, but we're not an organized venture capital company or an angel round company. That's it's more of a I think right now we have 22 different investments, so it's not a huge part of our business. We have some primary businesses right now that we're growing. One of our businesses, we make loans for commercial real estate, and all of a sudden, because of the upheaval in the economy right now, we've never been so busy. We're very busy right now, so we're trying to help and accommodate people who need capital in that area.
Specifically in the real estate, correct?
Yeah, we do real estate loans to build, mostly construction loans and or some bridge loans, and mostly for hotels, which there's not a lot of people who do that, and apartments right now, quite a few apartments.
Okay, you mentioned as an entrepreneur yourself, you've had ups and downs, you've come back from them. With the pandemic we've just gone through this pandemic. I mean, there's everything. You've experienced forest fires with your wine business. What can an entrepreneur do, or what advice can you give an entrepreneur to prepare for something like a pandemic. I mean, you never know when the rug's going to get pulled out from underneath you, right? As an entrepreneur, any advice you can give as to what they should be doing to prepare?
Well, first of all, over time, I think we all learn that we can't completely prepare for the unknown. If you had asked me at any point a number of years ago, will we have a pandemic, I would have said, well, what is a pandemic? And then you told me what happened in 1918, I would have said, no, science is much better than that. Doesn't make any sense. So what do I know? Always we find things are different than we think. The key thing, I think, for simplistically for most businesses as an entrepreneur, as a private company, you have limited amount of access to capital. So make sure you have enough liquidity and focus on cash flow that you can stay in business. And I mean that literally. Even today, and we have substantial amount of liquidity and substantial cash flow, but I can tell you what the liquidity position is every single day of all of our main businesses. And I can tell you what our projected cash flow revisions are every 6 months. And we look at the cash flow every month in great detail. So, it's not profit or loss per se. It's cash and cash flow that are going to be able to make your future work. And you need to expect the unexpected, because things just don't always go as you plan. When the pandemic hit, I thought we were going to end up owning. We had, I think, 20 or 22 hotels that we had construction loans on, and we ended up with only 3 of those 22 or 20 that we ended up having borrowers say, "Here are the keys. We can't keep going." A lot of the others, as interest rates came down, paid us off. So in that case, our expectation in March or April of 2020 was, oh my gosh, the world is going to end. And it turned out to be actually a windfall. And we had a benefit from lower interest rates. So the world is not totally predictable.
Right. So I guess cash is king then, right?
It is. There's no question.
Right. So besides, cash is king, is there a lesson that you've learned as an entrepreneur that you could share with our members? There's one thing that you could tell an entrepreneur, one lesson, what would that be?
Well, it takes an optimist to build a business, but it takes a realist to stay in business. And I guess I would have to say that you need to be a bit of both. You need to be able to, as a terrible way of saying, but damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. You need to be able to go where angels fear to tread. You need to have the courage to take risk. At the same time, you need to have another part of you that says, I'm going to look at all the facts and get them realistic. And then I'm going to be an optimist, but I'm going to do it from a basis of realistic knowledge. And so that will inform you to make as good a risk decision as you can. Risk taking is what we're all about.
Truly is. As an entrepreneur, it's stepping off that cliff, right? Deciding I'm going to leave the stability and I'm going to step off that cliff where I have no idea what's going to really happen, but I can prepare for the best.
Well, you hope you have some idea. It's an exhilarating thing. It's so funny because when people have cliffs that they literally jump off into a swimming pool or something, I won't do that. When people have these big slides that you go up and go down, that's not for me. But business risks, I love it. It's just great.
Okay, so I know that we have individuals that tune in that do not qualify to be a member of Glow, but they're entrepreneurs at heart and they're working to build a business. I know that you were involved, and I think you founded it. It's the Dallas Regional Office of NFTE. Are you still involved with that?
Not terribly, but that's actually for children. The National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship. It's a great international organization for teaching entrepreneurship to young children, similar to different orientation somewhat, but junior achievement. I've also been involved in both great organizations for entrepreneurship at a very young age, and I think there are different kinds of entrepreneurs. There's innate entrepreneurs that just somehow have it in their blood from the beginning. And then there's entrepreneurs that kind of learn along the way and find out that it's something that is appealing to them. And these organizations can be very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what's next for Craig Hall?
I'm really busy these days. Our lending business is very hugely busy right now. We build and develop property. We've got $600 million of construction going on right now, and our wine business is coming back from the pandemic. We had a lot of course, restaurants were closed and tasting rooms were closed, but we have 3 wine brands: Hall, Walt, and Baca. And so I'm actually in California now, working on that, and just having fun doing all of them, but trying to kind of figure out what the post-pandemic world is, and at the same time keeping my foot in other areas to try to help other people, and feel very blessed and lucky for the life I'm having and life I've had so far.
Well, I want to say thank you very much for being a part of this program today. So I recommend your book often to individuals that are curious about entrepreneurship. I'm going to put it up again because I believe it's such a good book. Are you going to do a sequel to this? Is there going to be a follow-on to this book?
I'll tell you, first of all, thank you for saying all that, but I'll tell you, writing books is hard. And I don't know that there's a sequel. I don't plan to, but never say never. But anyway, I've enjoyed very much talking with you, and really wish you all the best of success with Glow. And I think you're doing a wonderful thing to help a lot of people by really growing and facilitating a great organization. So good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Craig. So for all of those that are tuning in, be sure to tune in next week to hear our speaker. And remember, they're always Thursday at 12 o'clock Central Time. We just had Richard Branson this past week, and then Craig Hall this week. So it's always such a great experience, and you're hearing from some of the best in the world, some of the top thought leaders, business owners in the world. So tune in again next week, and stay safe, and God bless. Bye-bye. Craig, thank you. That was great.
Thank you. You do a wonderful job. Very, very nicely done. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yep, we